Hello, team, and welcome to the Scrum Call. In the last episode, we spoke about the inverted triangle. In this episode, we will be talking about the Scrum Roles. And so far, there are no blockers. Alright, so let's talk about the Scrum Roles, right? We spoke about the soul of Agile, which are the 4 values. We spoke about the very foundations, the pillars that hold up this magnificent building of Agile. And those were the 12 principles. Now it's important to understand what are the roles that people have to play in Agile Scrum. Now there are basically 3 important roles that needs to be played in a Scrum framework. The product owner, also known as the product manager in some companies, the Scrum Master, and the development team. Together, all these 3 different roles come together and are known as the Scrum team. Now we will look at all 3 of these roles individually. So let's talk about the development team first. So what is the development team made up of? It can have your developers who write code. It could have people who do the QA as well. It could have people who are doing the UI UX. See, it doesn't matter who forms the composition of the development team, because everyone is called as a developer. There are no titles, there are no sub teams within teams. Everyone within the development team is known as a simple developer or engineer. And we are all putting it in a very generic fashion, because going back to one of the principles of self-organizing teams, right? So a development team should be self-organizing. They have to be cross-functional. They have to work towards delivering quality work, quality product, potentially shippable product, right? If you remember from one of the previous episodes, they should continuously also look at how to improve their engineering best practices. They should be able to drive improvement within their own teams by giving feedback, by utilizing Scrum ceremonies such as the Scrum retrospective, for example. If you're wondering what Scrum ceremonies, I will be coming to that as well. Alright, so that is essentially what a development team is all about. No titles is an important one. Just because you're QA or you're a developer does not mean that you won't look at code or you will not test some particular code or review something. Self-organizing is we come together, do whatever it takes to get the job done. Move it to done so that we have a potentially shippable product and are able to improve ourselves by giving proper feedback and acting upon it. Moving on to the product owner's role. Now this is an important role by itself, because a product owner is essentially the voice of the customer. Why the voice of the customer or the client or the business? Because a product owner is the one who interacts with the people who are having the issue, the problem that needs to be solved. Remember what I spoke about in one of the previous episodes, where we need to develop a mindset where we don't think that we are doing work, but rather we are trying to solve a problem. So this person, the product owner, is the one who tries to synthesize all those wishes, those requirements, analyzes it, has a lot of discussions with the business. For simplicity's sake, we'll just call the customer as the customer in this case, okay? So this person has to interact with the customer, has to be the voice and representative of the customer, prioritize the work, and ensure it is put into bite-sized chunks called user stories, so that he can bring or she can bring it to the development team and the Scrum Master and say that, hey guys, for the upcoming sprints, here's the upcoming work. Let's look at it and plan for it and refine it. So that is where a product owner needs to step in. The product owner can also try and sometimes reprioritize the work based on the discussions that we may be having. Sometimes it happens that some story may seem to be okay from a product owner's or a customer standpoint, but it could turn out to be too voluminous or too complicated of a piece of work, and it may need further breaking down, or it may need further clarifications that the development team might raise, and the product owner has to go back to the business, have the communication, get those clarifications, and present it back to the team. Again, the team is empowered to question, to take things forward, and to say what is realistically possible, right? So that interaction is left to the product owner. Now comes the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is the bridge between the product owner and the development team. Some people like to say that the Scrum Master is like the policeman or policewoman or the wall. I like to put it by saying that the Scrum Master is a bridge between the product owner and the dev team. Why? Because a Scrum Master is much more than that. Think about the name Scrum Master. And what are we talking about here? Agile Scrum framework. So a Scrum Master means someone who is an expert, who is an authority on the subject matter of Scrum. He or she not only is given the responsibility of ensuring that Agile Scrum framework is applied properly within the team, but also ensures that the team is able to work without too many distractions. When I say distractions, it could be that the product owner might get an urgent request from the client or the customer saying that, hey guys, let's quickly stop what we're doing and let's work on this one story. It's really urgent. We have to fix it right now. Well, if such a behavior is left unchecked, then the team will always be distracted and there will always be something reprioritized. That is where a Scrum Master needs to step in and ask questions that why is this work as of now? If this needs to be brought in, why was it not brought in earlier? To ensure that the team is left untouched as far as practically possible. That's another one way where a Scrum Master acts as a facilitator between a product owner, the client, and the development team. Scrum Master has to master the art of servant leadership. Servant leadership, it sounds ironic. He's a leader as well as a servant. Well, you can Google what servant leadership is all about. I won't get into the depths of it, but to give a very quick gist of what that term means, it means you are someone who caters to the cause and coaches and directs the team in a way that they understand, learn, and move in a certain direction. And that direction is given by whom? By the Scrum Master. That coaching is given by whom? By the Scrum Master. So you are the one who is serving the team with your knowledge and leading them towards the right direction of Agile Scrum, right? The Scrum Master is also a massive change agent. Think about it. If you are assigned a team which is following waterfall and now you're told that you have to ensure this team now aligns with Agile Scrum framework and its principles, and go ahead and start your work. Well, if you cannot manage change, you will be stuck. So you have to manage change as well. Another very important role of a Scrum Master is to remove impediments for the team. Impediments or blocker issues could be anything where the team literally is not able to move forward or is making very slow progress. A Scrum Master needs to be able to step up to such an occasion and ensure that he or she is able to remove those blocks. It could mean talking to senior leadership, escalating some matters, having those conversations, facilitating those meetings between your developers and maybe the product owner and the clients for any major clarification. It could be, setting expectations, meeting cadences with dependent teams and whatnot. Whatever it takes to ensure that your team is making progress day on day. That's where a Scrum Master also comes in. The Scrum Master, as I mentioned earlier, is also a mentor and a coach to the team, to the individuals within the team, the developers. If you see that some person is not coming on time for the Scrum Call, you have to coach such a person. It may need individual attention or the team as a whole. So you have to influence without authority. The team may not report into a Scrum Master. Keep that in mind. It's not always the case. At least in my experience, I've never had a team reporting into me as a Scrum Master, right? And even then, you have to lead them without having direct authority over them. So you really have to be good with your soft skills. You have to be able to empathize with them. You have to be able to relate to them. The team has to be able to relate to you. Mutual respect, right? So those are certain things where a Scrum Master is not just an IT guy, so to speak, but is also a leader, a mentor, a friend, a strict administrator, many roles into one. So if you thought Scrum Mastership is easy, well, you are going to be in for a surprise. So that was the role of a Scrum Master. So we have covered 3 roles in Scrum: Product Owner, Scrum Master, and Development Team. All 3 of them come together to form the Scrum team. I hope this gave you clarity about the roles in Agile Scrum framework. If you have any questions, any feedback, or if you would just generally want to say hello, I would encourage you to interact with me on social media. Search for Scrum Call, SCRUMCALL. No space in between, all small. You can find me with the same name on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. On YouTube, it is Scrum Call Podcast. My email is also there in the show notes. You can check that out and write me a mail. I would love to hear from you. So with that, this is Shishir signing off.